Excellent. We are live. What is good? It is Zerilath, Zerilath Eternal. And tonight I wanted to have a conversation with my good friend. I was talking about this on a couple of my drive streams when I announced that I was going to have uh, Rodney on, Blue Pearl Oracle, fellow member in the Temple of the White Dragon. And um, and he is one of my uh, one of my go-to astrology guys. You know, everybody knows my relationship with Robert Phoenix. It's like Robert Phoenix and Rodney. These are my astrologers. So, um, we were talking in the last times we were here about where things were at with the massive transition of Pluto, which has come and gone many years ago now, and then also uh, recently with a lot of it was talk about the Uranus and Taurus emergent, and now we're very well. Actually, we're just done with. Oh, we're 0 degrees Gemini now. So
Yeah,
Uranus
zero
is
zero point
just
five
opening.
zero. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Uranus is just opening its Gemini chapter. So this is cool. All right, so this is a good time for it. Venus is about to hit Cancer, so this is a good time to talk about a few of these transitions.
Yeah. I mean, the outer the outer planets are really, as far as I'm concerned, the subject here,
Right.
because of their setup. And right now we've got Saturn and Neptune and Pluto retrograde. So we're heading into retrograde season here, man,
Mm,
and then Mercury's retrograde as well. So
mm.
so we're
I'm always
we're into we're start we're piling into retrograde season now, like we do every year. But this year's it's a little bit, well, not a little bit, quite a bit different
mm,
because of the outer planetary aspects.
mm.
It's definitely a much deeper movement on retrograde, I think, than it was yet last year. Outside of Venus retrograde that we had, now that was something. And
Yeah, I
yeah,
think I remember some chop in my personal life on that one too.
yeah, that was something that affected. That was a heavy, heavy retrograde because of its conjunctions and the gates that it was in. When it was running the Piscean gate, especially, and that was something else because literally during that period of time, with those retrogrades and conjunctions that we were running to Saturn and the North Node, man, it was something else for me personally dealing with because my moon is was right there. So my moon was running 23 degrees, Pisces. So I was getting really, really a lot of life reviews coming up, a lot of shadow work during that period of time. And a lot of betrayal wounds were flying the fuck out as well, in context to the collective and even in network, so to speak. So there was a lot going on during that period of time. That Venus retrograde, I have to say, was one of the most powerful transits that I have experienced outside of the 2017 eclipse in August of 2020, August 21st.
Right, right. The 2024 eclipse was probably one of my strongest vibes outside of the Grand Conjunction. The Grand Conjunction, just that was just like wah wah wah. you know, I could feel the fields compressing in those last couple of days. Um, yeah, and then like because the eclipse was like damn near on top of my solar return, so
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so
It kind
that
of
that, that
depends
was
on.
hypercharging.
It
Yeah.
kind of depends on what your templating's running.
Yeah.
with certain things. But I think that overall eclipse in 2017 was a like a blanketed type of energy
Yeah.
that really awoke inside of us
Yeah.
a lot of the ancestral energy. You
Those
know.
eclipses were tracked by the money masters.
Oh, of course.
If you went
Yeah.
to the US, if you went to the US debt clock, I don't think it's there anymore, but up until just a few months ago, if you went to the US debt clock, there was a button you could punch, and a pop out would pop out of something like the Great American something or another, right? It was some sort of economic period, right? And then it shows the continental United States, and then it's got this X mark slashed over it. And anybody who knows anything about those X marks is like, those are the paths of the eclipses.
Right.
Yeah, when there were just the two making their crossover, that would not include the one from 2024, which was making a third line. Um, but yeah, they had that, and as well as some other astrological symbolism up there. This is the official U.S. debt clock with no explanation, giving you some lunar solar astrology.
Hmm. Maybe they got that off of Chat GPT, huh?
I I, I think it predates Chat
Yeah,
GPT.
I'm
I
just kidding.
remember it being there a
I'm just being
long
facetious,
time ago.
man.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, these days you can plug in anything, I guess, and get whatever you want. So,
yeah. I mean, 2017 was definitely that was a day of judgment. Somebody had said, okay, we're activating the radicals in 2017. Right, right after that eclipse, that's when everybody unnaturally lost their shit over the uh, the little the little LARP march in the South that
yeah,
we've been still dealing with to this day in the form of ICE protests.
yeah. I mean, it kind of kicked off a real a demarcation point in acceleration.
Yeah,
When you start to see how it actually did, you know, lead into the Pluto return of the United States and, the things that had taken place after that, going into 2018, 2019, and then 2020, and then the setup with Saturn and Jupiter at 0 degrees Aquarius, that conjunction
yeah,
there, it was signaling that that basically the whole the Aquarian aspect was getting ready to ramp up. And then of course we had basically all that time then going where Jupiter and Saturn were squaring off with each other on certain aspects.
yeah,
And every time that would happen, there would be some type of warning in the ethers, so to speak, of a new virus coming out or a new
yeah,
plague coming out or some kind of bullshit like this.
yeah.
And you saw that going on every time we had that Jupiter Saturn square.
Right.
And it's like that square that happened right before actually COVID broke out. They use that energy on the inverse to spread the fear of death. When the Aquarian age is all about what? It's all about connecting to your higher self and the higher force and ignition points. So, and with Saturn there, it's also removing the ignorance of karmic aspects with Jupiter expanding that energy and context and then taking that and awakening to the fact that what, you've been pretty fucked up and you really need to get it going. And that was kind of like a kick in the ass, so to speak, on the solar spiral
Mm.
with that particular conjunction,
Yeah.
because it was telling us, man, there's something major getting ready to happen.
Mm.
And of course, then the needlecraft rolled out right after that. So when you're looking at these type of transits that are going on, they are tracked by the fucking Dark Ones in context and used against humanity on a collective level.
Mm.
It's
And
part. It's part of the psychological operations that take place in context to the energies that are running through the ethers themselves, and the manipulating that energy
right.
to the collective hive mind.
Yeah. My concerns that I look at, right? It's um we have these retrogrades you're talking about. Saturn and Neptune are conjunct. They're
Yeah.
a degree separated right now, which they're on top of each other, right at 1 and 2 Aries. So it's not quite a good thing when the organizing principles of Saturn and the dreams of Neptune are ass backwards and working together. To me, I don't get good vibes out of that. And then it's an Aries, meaning to initiate a thing, which, with the manner in which provocations of war have been recent, it's concerning. And Aries is about much more than war.
Well, you can say a lot about Aries,
I say a lot about myself.
but I mean, in Vedic, I have Aries eighth house in stellium, so I understand it. But I see this particular transit as actually being a very powerful alchemical aspect to getting us to the next level on a collective mage level. So the world is going to do whatever the fucking world's going to do. What I do not have control over, I don't fucking worry about it, because I don't have control over that shit. Political bullshit and all that, wars, all that stuff. It's all coming up for review because it's running the wound of betrayal. So when we look at that wound of betrayal that's taking place, what's really happening here is Saturn and Neptune are initiating new cycles on the wheel. Okay, both of them are coming into brand new energy and cycling as it begins a whole nother 12 gate cycle. Neptune runs like 100 and I think it's over 140 some years.
Mm.
I'm not exactly how the actual like year time. It's like 146 years or some shit like that.
Mm.
So it's initiating a new cycle. Saturn, of course, runs the 30-year cycle, through the gates. So when we're looking at these cycles, right,
Mm.
you can't find a time when Saturn and Neptune are 0 degrees Aries together in conjunction in history. It just isn't any.
I see. Okay, gotcha. So yeah. Now, so we're in a period of time where
It's unprecedented.
yeah. So like we kind of we kind of did something that's very annoying to an Aries. We said go, and then we said wait, stop, right? Because then everything goes retrograde, and we're not even a degree in, right?
Right, because it's fluxing at the gate, it's going to move back into Pisces. Saturn is going to move back into Pisces.
Right.
So we're gonna see this flux at the gate, and that's an extreme flux
Right.
because we're looking at from the 12th gate to the first gate. So
Yeah.
when we're looking at extremities, we're going to have to expect more extremities on the outside in context to collective hive mind because of the dance that Saturn and Neptune are having together within the 12th and first gates. See,
Yeah.
that's going to be ongoing until we get out of the retrograde and then into the direct motion probably later on at the end of the year. So
Right.
this is going to be a very, very long, arduous retrograde in context to actually what's happening. So if you really see the setup of what's taking place, what's really happening here is karmic aspects are being dealt with on the subrealms, and this is actually Saturn's actually acting um, like a miner, like a machine that would be mining into the ground,
Yeah.
into your subconscious subrealms, because Neptune represents the subrealms in context to healing. So when we're looking at the healing process that needs to take place, it could get messy because literally, like Saturn is becoming like the bulldozer of Neptune, and it's opening up these karmic aspects
Mm.
that have been ongoing on the loops in the human race for a very, very long time, and it really is going to give the human race a chance here to actually, the next 3 years, to actually fucking wake. I don't like to use wake up, but
Yeah.
get somewhere better than we are right fucking now.
We have a fascinating trine, which at the speed of these planets may hold long enough for Mars to kind of meet opposition to the Saturn Neptune conjunction
Many
to
times,
create a kite.
many times it
I
will.
mean, in this particular instance, it creates a
Yeah.
kite. We have this hard trine with, you still got Pluto hanging out in 2 degrees Aquarius. It's still way back at the beginning of that sign, and then you've got Uranus at 0 degrees Gemini is also trining this Aries transit. So that's a really, really strong combination because you've got the mystery in the air with Pluto, and then you've got the catalyst in the market with Gemini.
Well, it's air and fire on the outer planets. It's accelerant. So when we're looking at accelerants, we're looking at what? Big moves on this, in healing. See, when we look at it from the healing process of Neptune, and then we look at it from the ignition point of Uranus moving into Gemini, into the air element in context, right? And that's trining to the Plutonian energy in Aquarius, which is driving the narrative to transformation and transmutation. This is how the subrealms are going to be opened up to Neptune. And literally, like, this setup is going to be on for quite some time because literally, we'll have Uranus going retrograde here later on in the year, and then everything will be retrograde on the outer planets. See, so Uranus is going to flux at the gate some too, but this sextile trine aspect setup that's going on right now
Yeah,
is literally going to be on for quite some time, and it's going to give us a chance, I think, to really level up our path work in context to us, wanting to break through into new levels and new places of consciousness, and start to really look at things from a different perspective, because the initiating power of Aries there is being activated because of that sextile running to Neptune from Pluto, right? It's giving us that really extra kick, man. With Pluto sitting there helping that transformative process take place. So it really is giving us, and then that ignition point sitting there with the trine over to Gemini giving us an accelerant to that transformative aspect. So this is the time. If you've ever seen anything like running 0 to 2 degrees with all these outer planets, this is the time for change. To make the changes that you've been wanting to make in your life in context to this higher level of consciousness that we want to step into. Activating gifts. I mean, this is what it's all about. Chiron's still setting in Aries as well. It'll be retrograding later on too. So we have that gifting and that wound of betrayal here up for review now to dig deep into it to get the healing that Neptune will bring to it as it's revealed to us through the process of the Plutonian transformative aspect and then the ignition point of Gemini in context to the kind of the dialectic duality aspect that
Yeah.
we have to also look at and still kind of see what kind of dialectics we're running on in
Yeah.
context to that as well.
Yeah. It's gonna take a, I'm noticing that it's actually gonna take a long time for there to be a lot of activity um in the later end of the chart, right? It's just like you've got Mars in Virgo. We can't count the moon because the moon's just too fast, right? You know?
Well, the
Uh
moon energy actually is fast, but you can use the moon energy as ignition points when it comes in conjunction
oh,
or
absolutely.
trine to any aspect on that chart. So right now we're running the new moon Leo energy. This is what's running on the cycle till we get to the full moon, which then that'll be the Aquarian full moon, which will be igniting then that
Yeah.
whole Aquarian aspect to our
Yeah.
mind. So you can run the moon energies
Oh
on
yeah.
12 day cycles.
Oh, what's going to be fun about this full moon? It's going to be conjunct Pluto.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna see that whole aspect coming to us through the cycling of the moon energies
Oh,
as it moves through its cycles on the wheel.
yeah.
And
But
so as one who practices planetary high magic,
yeah,
the moon then becomes a point of calibration and recalibration.
right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's and that's what I mean is that like the moon is going to be the most significant thing in this part of the sky for a while because it's going to take Mars a hot minute to like, get up there and then you go Libra through Pisces and there's nothing in there. There's Pluto hanging out, there's Black Moon Lilith, there might be a couple other planetoids that I'm not using in this current chart.
Yeah, I think Black Moon Lilith's in Scorpio now.
Yes, it's in Scorpio.
Yeah, that last Capricorn, um, that last Capricorn full moon that we
Uh-huh.
had
Yeah.
on the ecliptic was at the outer point of Black Moon Lilith, and it literally did do a square off with it. That's why that particular new full moon was so intense.
Hmm.
So, it was running the Black Moon Lilith energies in context to the Capricorn.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
that,
Was there
and
a
I had a
was
lot of
there
people hitting me up like, what the hell is going on?
right?
I'm just I'm all fucked up,
Was there was there a significant event that happened of the Lilith, Black Moon Lilith, quality that is of note? Because usually that involves some sort of relationship troubles, right? With Black Moon.
Yeah, it's going to bring up a lot of old stuff from relationships. And also it's going to bring up a lot of, you know, what's the word I want to use? The blame game. So, like, victim mentality type of stuff, if you have it down in there.
Gotcha.
Especially with Capricorn, it's going to be tapping the boundaries of all that and kind of breaking those boundaries of what Capricorn tries to represent. Pride can be a boundary as well. And these narcissistic tendencies are also boundaries. That's what people don't realize about the narcissist. The narcissist actually has rock solid boundaries that he or she works from. And this was actually trying to break through some of that shit in context to all that. And so that's why a lot of people were having problems with it because it was bringing up a lot of old mistakes and problems and stuff that we've had with relationships in our lives. And, a lot of people were boo hooing to me, and I'm like, it's okay. They didn't know what was going on. And I looked at the ecliptic and I'm like, well, it's this new moon is out as far as you can get. I mean, a full moon is out as far as you can get on the ecliptic where the magnetic point of Black Moon Lilith runs
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know so that's what was going on with that.
Mm.
It was
So,
actually a very powerful full moon.
yeah. Absolutely. Um. So I'm very curious about what you think we can particularly expect with this Uranus in Gemini situation moving forward. How soon till it goes retrograde? Are we going to be seeing some more Taurus?
I'm not sure, but typically Uranus and Chiron are the last retrogrades, so I'm thinking that it's probably going to be September, like the 1st of September, and it usually runs through
Okay,
the first 2 months of the year.
got it.
Comes like retrogrades, like February, goes direct in
Gotcha. Got it.
February.
So,
Yeah,
so
so
retrograde may stick. It may, if it's going all the way to September, it'll probably stay in Gemini when it retrogrades.
it might flux at the gate. I haven't actually looked at that real close,
Okay.
but with what we can expect with this particular energy is a lot of rumbling in the ground, man, because we had Jupiter just running the Gemini gate not too long ago. So it went in and expanded the gate with its energy before Uranus moved into it.
Mm.
So Jupiter made its presence known in Gemini, right? By expanding all that energy, and then now Uranus is coming in to ignite it. And that's what we're seeing volcano eruptions, we're seeing earthquakes, we're seeing all kinds of weird weather patterns going on. This has a lot to do because of the ether and the air element that's happening with Gemini there.
Right.
Yeah,
And
so
while this is happening, Venus is also making her crescendo to Cancer. She sits at 28 Gem.
yeah, it's my Venus return. Yeah, I know. I'm really having some issues with that, man, personally, because it's squared off with Saturn. So it's been like a real, I've been going through these periods of high highs and low lows right now. It's just because I feel like I'm fucking bipolar, and I know I'm not, but I've been going through the shadow aspect and then coming up out of it because I know how to get out of it quickly, and then I get out of it, and then boom, here comes another round. And so it's just like this is what we can expect, especially if you have a Gemini ascendant, Gemini, Venus in Gemini, or some type of aspecting taking place with this particular transit as well.
All right.
So that's kind of then when it moves into Cancer, the emotional aspect of that is on, and that's going to really, that's really going to be running the moon energy in context. So you have to look at where the moon placing is there because the moon runs that gate. So, so you're looking at the moon gate. You're looking at the second gate, the seventh gate, and then also because of the Cancer, the fourth gate. So you're looking at basically those gates are going to be in play as Venus moves into, and then Jupiter is also being there expanding the energy. So it's going to be really intense this year with Venus making that transit through Cancer because Jupiter's sitting there as well. And if we want to really look at it in context to relationships, but also looking at the Taurus gate, this is a great place to really work with your moon energy and see how you're actually leveling that up in context to what? In context to your self validation, self love, passion for yourself, self care, putting things into perspective in context to how you're actually wielding your self confidence, working with that moon in Leo as well, that new moon, and then having all that expanded to your core intelligence, which is that ninth gate of Sagittarius. So a lot of this energy that's coming up right now is really going to be very powerful for us to make some great leaps in transmutation.
Mm. Yeah, indeed. Um, so here's another interesting one that I wanted to throw at you as a possibility, a wild possibility. I was kind of almost on the speculative end of this because of what I'd been hearing, and so I double checked by pulling up an article link, and it's from NASA. You see, 6 days ago, um, or actually, hold on a second. I'm sorry. I'm looking at I don't know why the results said 6 days ago, and then I'm looking at the website and it's telling me that the feature story was in 2016. Um, okay, so I'm gonna ignore this just because something intuitively was telling me to be asking about this is that we may be finding a new planet in our solar system. There may be the aspects of that on the horizon, and so that made me think about um, what astrologers always talk about when it comes to the discovery of new planets is all of the trends that reveal themselves and get amplified, that the planet's qualities correspond, such as Pluto and the manner in which our relationship with death and the mysteries have changed.
Well, think about as within, as without to vibrational correspondence. When we're looking at things on a collective level, we're seeing a projection of what's happening in the collective consciousness. All is within. So Pluto was discovered in the 1930s, around the time when we started looking at plutonium and the actual aspect of what? Nuclear weapons. So, when we look at how things actually roll out, what you have to ask yourself is that, and this is a little bit of a stretch for a lot of people maybe, but in context to what's being created moment by moment by moment by moment in the reality field, in context to the sine wave on the collective level, was Pluto actually even there until we actually had the actual energy come forth from the collective to create it as on a collective level, like all the planetary aspects in context to that. See,
Right, right.
so when we're looking at actually discovering something new, what does that mean? That's something that's coming into the collective consciousness that somewhere along the way was created as within. So that's why the energies are so important to understand and understand when you're working with high planetary magic, because it is within us. And this is what a lot of people don't get, Zerilath, is that, and Sethicus talks about this all the time, until you understand and understand that all of this is within us, you're not going to get it. You know? You're
Mm.
just not going to get it. And this is the whole point of doing the work, and why things have been actually reversed and inverted. And this is really the hijack of the collective energy force of the human race, and this is how it works. So yeah, I mean, that if we're getting a new planet, that means that it's coming forth and it will have a signature frequency.
Right, right. And I'm wondering to myself, what are the main things that we may be seeing here? That, like, if we were to be able to perceive a unifying pattern, saying, here's a theme. This could become the particulars of a new planet.
Yeah.
Right? Would we end up looking at it and doing something and say, okay, we're gonna make this planet responsible for Virgo, and now Gemini and Mercury are it, and now Virgo has a new ruler, right? Like, we could play that game, as they tend to do when they officialize these things.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to really, I mean, if astrologers look at the placing of the planet, what gate, where it's placed, I don't even know. I haven't even heard about this. So this is something brand new to me. I don't know anything
Right.
about
It,
this.
it, it could just be scientism blowing smoke,
I really
around
don't, you know.
above the butt, but um, at the same time, something's just telling me that at least thinking about these things right now matters.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I haven't really heard anything about it, so I don't really have too much information on how all that works, to
Right,
be honest
right.
with you, man.
I don't either, but just in case you had heard something, being the more in the stars minded than I am, I thought I'd ask, and I will keep you posted, if I find a credible source of information that came out this year.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, exactly. I have not heard of this, so I
Uh,
mean, you know,
yeah.
it's like the astronomy society, you know, says, "Oh, Pluto's a planet." Then it says it isn't a planet. Now I'm guessing they're thinking about making it a planet again. So it's like,
Right.
does it really matter what the fuck they say? I mean, really? I mean,
I mean,
you know,
my understanding is that Pluto is maybe like slightly larger than our moon or something like that. Like
yeah, it's a
it's
dwarf planet, you know, like Chiron. You know,
yeah,
let's say it's an asteroid, but Chiron's actually, I believe, a planetary. I know in the mythos
yeah,
it was, you know, and when we're looking at, you know, planets like Maldek or Tiamat, it
yeah,
was in the mix with all that. So, you know, you start to see how the correspondence is, like looking at Chiron and Jupiter, you know, running kind of the same energies, but Chiron much more ancient actually, you know, and so these energies are, you know, it's the energy of the centaur, right? I mean, you know, it's the horse with the bow, you know. So, you know, and taking it back to the mythos and stuff, you know, actually Chiron was the teacher of Jupiter. So, you know, Chiron actually taught the gods and was a healer to the gods themselves. So, you know, when we're looking at these type of energies, you start to realize how, you know, when we're looking at them on an internal level of our own selves to our own personal templating, that's why it's so important to, you know, at least do some studying on your planetary positions, you know, and taking a look at those, you know, and I would encourage people to do that because it really is going to help you level up your consciousness and understand how your templating works, you know. And astrology is a great cause point for that.
yes, yes, it absolutely is. And for the record, NASA says that it was Caltech in 2016 that had made this alleged discovery, something about a widely elongated orbit. That's all I know. But anyway,
It's
um,
Planet X, man.
well, that's the funny thing. Like, that's the main reason I think why they killed Pluto as a planet is because they wanted to rob us of Planet X.
I don't know. Who knows, man?
I think so, man, because we just rolled with it forever that we had 9 planets. Planet X was what all the sci-fi in the 1950s and 60s was all about. And of course, there's the Nibiru prospects of what is discussed in Anunnaki stuff and other aspects of our wider cosmology that needs to be understood by a larger audience when it's appropriate. But yeah, but no, because I just think that they're fucking with it, right? Because it's about the 9, right? It's the 9, the importance of the 9, and then we had 9, and now they're telling us that we didn't have the 9, right?
Yeah,
They're trying to keep us on the Ouroboros,
yeah.
or
It's
letting us know that we were on the Ouroboros because that's a planetoid. There's one more planet coming, perhaps, right? It's all these little mind games, if any of them are trying to play an IQ test with us.
well, the lockdown equation is, you know, is part of how they keep control of the collective energy force.
Right.
And as long as they keep, you know, people from igniting, I just put out a song called "Ignite the Black Sun," uh, and as long as they keep people from igniting that black sun within themselves, right, and getting out of that Saturn Moon matrix aspect, where, you know, where it's just everything's been on the loops in context to the cycles, you know, and then keeping people on that so they don't ignite their soul's purpose. They're just, you know, they're just in the dark, man. You know, they're running on the black sun matrix, and until you ignite that and burn the fuck out of it and blast that shit with your core intelligence and have that that fire element come into your very core essence and break open that shit, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to have any type of core intelligence or navigation
Yeah.
within everybody talks about opening up your third eye and all this shit.
Yeah.
You're going to be manipulated by your third eye. I'm sorry, but that's just how it works. And you see it in movies, you see it all over where they throw the carrots out, and they get you go down the rabbit trails, and it happens over and over and
Yeah.
over with all these movies. And with all these psychological operations that take place, they throw occult stuff in, symbolism, numerology, on down the line, to get people to look at to say, "Oh, I'm awake, I'm seeing this," but you're really not because you haven't actually activated your
They,
core intelligence.
they want to give you a puzzle or a game to distract your monkey mind so you're wasting your intellect and not using it to extract proper knowledge and wisdom through your experience of um, of the quest that you're on.
Yeah, because why should I understand that, or my own soul's purpose and why I'm here, and exploring my own personal universe, right? And taking responsibility for my thought, emotion, and actions that I'm putting in play into the universal time matrix. Why should I have to do that when I can run down all these rabbit trails, put out videos, and talk about how I see all this shit? When in fact, just because you see something, or you think you see something, or you have some knowledge of something, doesn't mean that your hardcore intelligence is ignited.
Yes, yes. I think one of the best illustrations that I've seen out there about that was from that Kingdom animated short from what's his face. Um, oh man, I can't remember how to pronounce his name because he's got a he's got a very foreign name, but he's the guy who did the original like In Shadow.
I'm not sure who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, you would have seen his thing around. I'll have to show you the video for Kingdom for you to watch. It's a short. It's a music. It's got music and no dialogue, and you watch it. It's like a motion comic, and it's all manner of. It's very much a story about connecting with the higher force to destroy the dark forces, right? Um, and it's a very excellent piece, and I've watched it a million times. It helped me feel better about a whole lot of crap when it came out. I think in 2023, maybe 2022, 2023. And all the characters they got a spot in their heart right here, like in their chests, and it's just a black. It's just a black, like a smoke shadow, kind of black.
Yeah, the abyss.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the main character does makes a couple of personal choices through the symbolism, and he purges this black out of his heart. He kind of goes through the he's that first hard walk before everyone else starts catching on, right? And so it kind of takes you through his story of waking himself up to wake other people up and to get on the higher force frequency.
Yeah.
It's a really
Yeah. I mean, to access that, you have to
yeah,
move into Ganundagap. Ganundagap is the space of the void or the womb,
yeah,
and that's just the place where you ignite the black fire, and that's where you get the star core ignition in context to all of this. See, when we're looking at the mythos itself,
yeah,
and this is why Ganuda Gap was fucked with, and this is why they inverted the womb energy in context to moving everything downward into the abyss, and then keeping people locked down in that first veil, so they literally are in that abyss energy and they don't even know it. That's the thing, man. People do not even know that they're locked down in the abyss. Think about that for a second.
oh yeah.
They
Lumiere,
don't know.
yeah, They don't. They don't. You know, that's there's a lot of people here that, to me, it's very obvious that they're here to be either in the healing, or they're here because they needed a hard break, right? Like this incarnation, like it's not their incarnation to to go through the level up, and but it doesn't necessarily mean I think that they're going to fall off into the darker evils, but I think that they are just going to have to hop back on the wheel of Sansara. But there's a lot of us that it serves this higher purpose, um, to be going down this hardcore ignition path.
Well,
Lubomir,
I don't really care what
name
anybody
of the guy.
says. Evil needs to be fucking purged out of the realm.
Oh, it does have.
Fuck that.
No,
Evil
no, the
needs to
evil
be
has to be
fucking
purged.
purged, man.
Yeah,
That shit when it came in through the
yeah,
betrayal,
I know.
it
Yeah,
this is what needs to be healed here coming up on the timeline, man. And anybody who gets in the way of that is just collateral damage. Because
right,
if they're not willing to get on board and just, la 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 la, I'm just going to waste an incarnation. What the fuck is that?
right.
I'm not here to waste an incarnation. Just so I just need to, whatever. If you need to take a break, go to the fucking Hall of Souls and get regenerated.
Right.
Why you want to come down here and do that shit? See, this is the part of the thinking that
It,
sometimes we have,
yeah.
and it's like I had a kind of a interaction with someone, and they were talking about the Kali Yuga cycle. Oh, shit's just going to be bad because we're in the Kali Yuga cycle, and that's just the way it's going to be for a long time because we're in that cycle and we've been in it, and shit's just going to be fucked up, and that's just the way it is. I'm like, wait a second. What about the actual cosmic laws of as within, as without, as above, so below, in context of vibrational correspondence? How the fuck do you actually co-sign that type of mindset, saying I'm just going to do my thing and I'm going to do my evolution and evolutionary path, but then everybody else, they're just on their own.
Hmm. Nobody's. It's not about being on the own. It's being about like, I'm right here. That I know a thing I can help. You're. Oh, you're not
You
gonna.
actually help
You don't take me.
Zerilath by doing what you're doing, and
Yeah.
and leveling up your consciousness. That
Yeah.
input and output of consciousness goes into the ethers.
Oh, and this right, precisely. Like, like, because naturally I'm not giving up on myself, but the you know like, I'm thinking about how we're talking about those that aren't, that have given up on themselves, right? Because that's part of what I'm talking about. Like the guys that, like, they need the healing, they need the break for a life cycle, and because it's just like, how do you raise their worth, right, without, like, it takes such a long time to get to know a person. Nobody wants to open up, and until you're the guy they trust, it's just like this kind of stuff. They don't want to open up to that, right? This world
Yeah.
will keep them from it being a certain kind of pain, as long as there's something about a tomorrow that they're getting, one way or the other, right? It's just like, well, tomorrow's gonna suck, but at least tomorrow I've got my X, Y, and Z, right? And
Yeah,
so,
I've got my distractions. I've got
yeah,
my
yeah,
beer. I
yeah,
got
yeah,
my weed. I've got
yeah.
my Netflix. I've got my
I look at
job. Got my old lady.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And
I
I
look.
got my kids' functions. I get it, man. We have families. We have all that kind of stuff going on. I understand, man. I'm not like
Right.
putting it down. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that there comes a point when all of that is it a distraction, or are you actually integrating the experiences in context to leveling up your consciousness? It's all about your state of mind, man.
Yeah.
It's what it all comes down to.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. The my most effectiveness when it comes to trying to make that work, it's because I know it has a lot to do with my Leo thing. It's just like, put me out there. Just put me out there, like, to be seen while doing what I'm doing. People will notice, because people will can't believe I just did what I did, even though all I did was what you asked me to do, because I'm here at the job site. But you can't believe you just saw me do it that way. You know, like I astound people with all sorts of little things about me, you know, and so I'm building, I'm showing. It's just like, are they ready to hear that maybe I take myself seriously as a wizard? Are they ready to hear that yet? Have I impressed them? Right, because these little things happen. Like you know, I'm working in a 3 foot crawl space for like 3 4 fucking weeks. These guys can't believe how fucking hard I work. They can't believe how fast I move. They can't believe all the little things I noticed that have saved their ass from the job being horrible. Um, and believe me, this job is fucking horrible. But the three of us are all very rock solid guys, so I like doing the work because they're rock solid people dealing with this hot mess of a condo. Um, Long story short is that like that gives the time and the space to build rapport. And then all of a sudden I can start saying a thing or two, and then an off comment I made about vaccine damage that was dismissed like a week ago in conversation comes back up again because there has been time for me to sort the thought outs in accordance to finding out what they actually know. This is how fucking actually difficult it is, because we're not like street preachers don't fucking work. You can't just
No.
you can't just hold up the book of the higher force and evangelize people.
No,
It's
because your actual energy and your life becomes the witness. This is how it actually works. See, and until you are leveling up your consciousness and actually making your reality field,
yeah,
and you are the cause point of your reality field in context to taking control of your auric field, you're not going to have shit to witness. And so, as you're doing that, you become the witness to the circle of influence that you are connected to. And whether they're, just regular NPCs, they haven't ignited anything yet, or whatever,
right.
the wisdom, then this is where the Anzus comes in, and Odin. The wisdom then starts to actually have an effect in context to what? Putting things together, working those gates, being able to manifest to the 10th gate in context to material aspects, to the 11th gate, connecting things together to as the air magician, being able to connect the dots, connect the stuff together, and have that awareness to look at something and say, oh, if we did it this way, we would save so much more time. You know? And then eventually to the 12th gate, which is the gate of healing in context to the shaman and the overall overview of everything, and then being able to actually input that energy as your healing takes place, then that also then carries it in context to your auric field everywhere you go. So this is actually the witness of the mage within the realm, and that's how we input the frequency of the higher force itself to cause an effect. That's exactly right.
Yeah, yeah. Because I struggled. I struggled a great deal with like, where's the line of of responsibility, right? Because I got a responsibility to this thing just like you do, right?
Yeah.
Just like we and to be done in just the manner that you described, right? This is how we live our lives, right? And then it's just the question of, you know, how gentle or how direct at any given moment does doing and saying the catalyst thing
That's
matter,
where your intuition
right?
kicks in.
You know, because I know that I've walked in and out of a few strangers' lives as if I was a fucking magical creature, right? You know, like I helped a guy in a panic attack in a hospital because I gave him 3 seconds of chronic breathing advice and he calmed the fuck down, right? Like
Yeah.
little things like that.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
here and gone, the wizard walks by, right?
Spreading his magic.
Exactly.
That's Black Sabbath, man. First song on the
Rest,
Wizard, man.
rest in peace, Ozzy. You will
Yeah.
be missed sorely. Oh my gosh. All right. So I think with this one, I think I've covered. think I've covered everything we really need to talk about because, like I said, I've got a hard time making, having made what to say was like supposed to be the biggest and most pressing things because it doesn't seem as climactic as the 2020 cluster,
It's actually
right?
deeper.
Yeah, I
This
think
is these are deeper transits. They're
yeah,
they're not what we just went through, going back to all that and America's Pluto return and all that
yeah.
was very dramatic.
It's a more pleasant spread.
But
When
this
you,
here is very much a
yeah,
much deeper alchemical process that we're going through because of the setup that we've got going on. I mean, the midpoint between the trines between Uranus and Pluto is Neptune and Saturn conjunct Aries. So that is the midpoint that's going to be there for a while in
yes,
context to unweaving the ignorance and the karmic aspects that we have been under the spellcast for a very,
yeah,
very fucking long time as a human race.
yeah. The moon
So
is opposite it in Libra right now. So this is an excellent reflection time on this transit.
it is, and it's also giving us a chance to um, understand that it is the seventh gate. It is the seventh gate that is the bridge point to transcending the lockdown.
Yeah,
And that's what you have to remember is that um, when you feel your heart getting weighed down with things, whether it's karmic aspects that are hitting you or shadow work or shit going on in your family or whatever it may be, when you feel that heaviness in your heart, that means that seventh gate is closed because your heart has weighed heavy, and the feather then is an exalted in context to that. So that's where you go to the circle because you want to clear out things that are weighing you down to oppression and depression. And and this warfare that's happening, that's going through, that it's hitting a lot of people right now.
yeah,
um, I've been experiencing it as well, has been very intense, but we have the tools to move right through that and cut through it with a hot fucking sword, you know, and these are our tools in context to understanding our state of mind and then the awareness that it takes to move through these attacks. I mean, there's one thing to understand that it's coming from the shadow aspects of your of what you're trying to work through in the blood codes. It's another thing knowing that, hey, this is actually getting hit with this actual programming energy that's coming from the ethers themselves that's being thrown, you know, and so there is a difference, and once you can see that difference take place in context to the awareness of your own consciousness, then you got something because you can know how to actually address it then.
okay. I was
So
saying,
there is a difference between what's happening and what's trying to come in and hook into you on the flanks, and then what's actually just coming up from within you in context to shadow work and being able to actually
yeah,
coming up for review and embracing the pain, embracing the fear, and making transmutation processes.
mm, yeah, yeah. I was noticing here, yeah, mid August is when Mars is gonna make the kite with that opposition in with Mars and Leo, Libra.
Yeah,
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 so that'll be
yeah. I mean, right now when it's setting in Virgo, it's actually it's a very powerful place to initiate some good health protocols. I just put a video out that about that today, um, with the moon just moving through Libra, or excuse me, through Virgo, and now Mars setting there, transiting the gate as well. It's definitely a good time to initiate some type of really good physical protocols to alchemy, with Mars being in Virgo. So I'll just throw that out as a side note.
okay. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Excellent.
Yeah, it's on my Facebook page if you want to go see the video. I just put it out this morning. Um, and I've been running that now for about two weeks or so. I started these new protocols, and because I knew Mars was in Virgo, and I was like, okay, so this is the time to really initiate this. And it's been actually very easy because of the energy of Mars sitting there um, in Virgo to that aspect, and it set up a trine for me to my Mars itself. So being able to initiate that then was a really a good planetary aspect for me. And this is how you work with planetary high magic when you're wanting to implement something into your life. You look for these aspects.
Yes. Yes.
And if you don't know how to do that, find somebody who knows how to teach you or can show you that or work with you on that.
Precisely, which is exactly what the kind of services you provide at the Blue Pearl Oracle. So, we've been rolling about an hour. I think I've asked everything I need to ask right now, covering that Mars thing at the end. I'm glad we didn't miss that. Um, so yeah, I think this is great. Rod, you want to drop your last connections, your YouTube and all that. The description and the links in the description below already, but you go ahead and drop your stuff here.
Um, well, you can easiest way to get a hold of me is just on my Facebook page on Messenger, Rodney Goodwin. That's where I do everything pretty much. I have a Hardcore Productions page on Facebook that you can actually book a session at, and it'll email me, and then I'll get a hold of you. I have a website. It's hardcoreproductions.com that you can take a look at. It has all my readings on there. I not only do astrology, I do tarot readings, I do rune readings, I do counseling, I do composite readings, these type of things. If you have a partner or a partnership you want to go into, business proposition, whatever, we can look at the energies and take a look at it and see if it's gonna, if it's gonna work, and if you have a partner that you're thinking about maybe hooking up with, it's somebody you love, a marriage going through, whatever it may be, we can truly look at the energies. Basically, a composite chart or a synastry chart is just taking the midpoints of two charts and bringing them into one chart and showing actually what the pinta is it's a collective of the auric field or templating of two different templatings. So it's bringing those two templates together into a midpoint, which creates what's called a neutral space or a penta. And this is going to show you on the wheel then what aspects are congruent, what aspects need work, and where you need to actually take a look at how you can wield your consciousness through certain rough, choppy waters to get positive results.
Excellent.
So yeah.
All right. Rodney, thank you so much, my friend. We'll be talking offline, things like that. Everybody, thank you for tuning in and checking it out. Pearl Jones and Derek were here in the chat, chit chatting a little bit, and thank you so much for your presence and participation here today. And we'll have Rodney on sometime in the future. All right.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yes. All right. So we're going to hit the stop over here. You guys have a great night.